Hello, KI Pro. So this is just my fan feedback on the things I would change about the Killer Instinct Pro cabinet. Now it's going to be a lot about personal preference. You may agree or disagree with the changes I would make to the cabinet. This is meant to be constructive criticism. I'm an Arcade1Up fan and I think there's a lot of potential with the Pro line. That being said, let's get started. So first and at the top of my list is the chrome edge banding. I would get rid of the chrome edge banding. Maybe it was meant to make it feel like a premium product, but for me personally, it has the opposite effect. It actually makes it feel like a cheaper product. If you're gonna invest money somewhere, could we invest in real T-molding on the Pro line? Maybe that's possible, maybe it's not. But if it's not possible, let's just go back to that black edge banding, keep it clean and keep it simple. As you mentioned before, the Pro line is probably for the hardcore player, and I think the hardcore player is gonna want nostalgia. They want that cabinet as close to the original as it was in the arcade, and that's gonna be with black edge banding. Next, I have the same feedback about the speaker grills. Instead of them being silver, I would just want them to be black, keep it clean, keep it simple. My next bit of feedback may be a little bit more extreme because I want to adjust the proportions of the cabinet. When I look at the render from Arcade1Up, I have concern about how high the control deck is, and then when I look at the top of the cabinet in the marquee area, it feels a little boxy and small compared to the rest of the cabinet. It doesn't have a good sense of weight balance. Now, what I try to do in my render is give the top of the cabinet a little bit more weight to balance with the bottom, so overall the appearance of the cabinet feels a little bit more hefty. Now, there's a benefit to that as well, and it has to deal with artwork, and I really focus a lot on artwork. Now, the marquee is going to end up being a little bit bigger with this change to the top of the cabinet. Now, the other benefit is now that the top of the cabinet is a little bit larger, that's going to allow you to scale your side art differently. So you can see how much larger spinal is on the side of my cabinet versus Arcade1Up's. My next bit of feedback is about the Killer Instinct logo. Now this is the same concern I had on the 3/4 scale, and I see it here in the Pro line render. On the marquee, we have the correct Killer Instinct text logo, but on the rest of the cabinet, the side panel and the front of the control deck, we have this made up Killer Instinct text logo. Now I'm going to go ahead and assume this is because of some legal reason, but we're talking about Arcade1Up, we're talking about John D, and we're talking about a team of people that were able to give us Marvel vs. Capcom 2 back and get us Blitz. Can we go back to the negotiation table and make that happen, guys? Can we get the correct artwork on this cabinet and use that KI logo everywhere? My last bit of feedback is going to be on the control deck. Looking at the render from Arcade1Up, the controls look like they're way too close to the edge of the control deck. That if I was playing this, I would not be able to rest my palm on the top of the control deck when using those buttons. And we know this is possible because we just got the Midway Legacy 30th anniversary, and that control deck is absolutely amazing. It's a great cabinet. The control deck looks amazing and plays well because I can rest my palm on the top of the control deck when playing that cabinet, and I would expect we would have the same quality of control deck layout here on a Pro line cabinet. With the control moved up, now you have room to add the Killer Instinct logo on the top of the control deck, just like the real arcade cabinet. The last thing I would look to do is update the back base plate of the artwork. And now this is the same issue that I had with my 3/4 scale Killer Instinct, and I see it here on the Pro line render, is that is not the real back base plate for the controls. And I went ahead and did this for my mod. I got the original artwork and I treated it like a restoration project. I stripped out all the elements and rebuilt this back base plate, and this was a ton of work. But I wanted it as close to the original as possible. I want that real artwork. And then I added all the elements back in. So it's completely possible to do. It's just a bit of a time investment, and that's what I would expect for a Pro line cabinet. Well, that's it. Just some feedback to Arcade1Up on what changes I would make to the Killer Instinct Pro line cabinet. Once again, it's all about personal opinion. You may agree with some of these changes, you may disagree. Anyways, if you enjoyed the content, you want to see more 3D renders or Arcade1Up mods, check out my channel. If you like what you see, consider hitting that like button and subscribing. Have a good one.